Hello my friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiffany and I'm so happy to have you joining me today. In today's video we are going to be tackling my spice cabinet. We're going to get it organized and more aesthetically pleasing. Let's go ahead and get started. One of the things we're going to be using today to help us organize the spice cabinet are these beautiful glass spice containers that I got for Christmas. They are from Amazon. I'll have them linked for you down below. I just think that they're really beautiful and I think it's going to create a really uniformed look in the spice cabinet. I also picked up that riser. We're going to be using some more of these labels. We also have these labels for on the actual containers. And we're going to get started. I am just going to take all of these out of the box. They were in some really nice styrofoam that was keeping them protected. So I'm taking them all out and we're going to go spice by spice. So just going to use the little funnel that it comes with to help us get the spice into the container. Now this is completely unnecessary. This is purely aesthetic. This is not something that you have to do to have an organized spice cabinet. It isn't something, that if you don't do it, your spice cabinet doesn't look nice. This is just completely aesthetic. I never thought that I would do this. And then I decided that I really liked the way it looked. My cousin Susan has hers done and she keeps hers in her drawer and they just look really beautiful. So I am taking all of the lids off to keep things a little bit easier. And I'm just going to take about a couple of minutes here to wash all of these bottles. Now this did take a while, I'm not going to lie. Just to wash them all and then to let them dry. But this is important because you want to make sure that they're clean before you put your spices in, since you're going to be cooking with them and ingesting them. You want to make sure that they are clean. You're not sure how many hands touched them or what kind of chemicals were on them when they were being created. So just give them a good wash. I'm just using hot water and a little bit of dish soap, and we're going to let those air dry. You want to make sure that they're all the way dry because you don't want your spices to get stuck inside of a wet spice container. And then we're going to get started with putting the spices inside. Once the containers were dry, I just took the stickers out and put those off to the side so that they were ready to go. There is a white label for the outside of the bottles, and then there is a little black sticker for the lid. I decided not to use the black sticker. I liked the way it looked without it, and the way that I have them in my cabinet, you can't really see the top of it anyway. It did also come with the plastic lids and a little funnel, and we are all set up. We've got our little station going. We're ready to start moving the spices over. So like I mentioned, the kit does come with a nice little rubber funnel. I'm starting with garlic, and if you notice, there's multiple different garlics, so make sure you're paying attention when you're selecting the one that works for you. So I'm selecting just regular, I think garlic powder. I can't remember if it's garlic powder or garlic. And I think it says garlic powder. And I'm just eyeballing this. I'm sure there's a more scientific way to get them less wonky. Mine are definitely not straight, but whatever, it's fine. And then you just plop your little funnel in, take off the lid of your seasoning and pour it right in. Super easy peasy. And then you pop on the little plastic top, and then you just put on your lid. So be careful that you don't overfill it. That was easy to do. I almost overfilled several of mine. I'm just pounding it out there to get any of the rest of the spice out, popping on the little lid, and then putting on the top to the container. And it was super easy, and I just think that they look so chic and I love them. So really glad that I did this. Like I said, I went back and forth on whether or not I was ever going to do this, but I'm really glad that I did because I think they look really, really nice. I did have a little bit of extra from a few of my bottles, and I'm going to show you at the end what I end up doing with that. Don't get rid of it. That's perfectly good spice, so I'll definitely keep that and use it later, but I'll show you what I do with that later. So now we're just going to plow through and do as many of my spices as I can. At the beginning, my spices were very similar in taste, and so I really didn't need to clean out the funnel very often. I just was able to kind of pound out whatever was left inside on the side of my sink, and it was good. However, as I started to get a little bit more flavorful in my spices, it was time to start cleaning the inside of the funnel. So pay attention to that, especially when you get to things like cumin or ginger or adobo seasoning, that kind of stuff. Anything that's like really fragrant, you'll want to make sure that you're cleaning the inside of your funnel because you don't want your spices to mix and to mess with each other. So keep that in mind. I'm not really washing them as of right now, but I do end up having to wash out the funnel in between a lot of them just so that I wasn't mixing up the flavor. This was a little bit of a lengthy process, so I'm going to speed this up quite a bit. It did take me a little while, but like I said, I feel like it was worth it in the end. I love how it ended up looking. It turned out really beautiful, but give yourself a good amount of time to complete this job because you have to look for your sticker. You have to put the sticker on, like it's a whole process. I will say the stickers are in alphabetical order, so that definitely made things a heck of a lot easier. However, it still takes a little while to find it and to do all of this. And then when I started cleaning the funnel in between, just give yourself a good amount of time if you're going to tackle this job. Although this project did take a while, I will say that it's probably one of the most satisfying projects I've ever done. It was so nice to just see everything coming together. The bottles were beautiful. Once they're in the cabinet, it looks really, really beautiful. I do end up putting them in alphabetical order, which has been so nice when I'm cooking. I cook a lot and I like to be adventurous in the kitchen. I like to try a lot of new recipes and new flavors. So having easy access to my spices makes things really, really easy when I'm whipping up a meal for my gigantic family. If you've noticed to the right of my sink there, I have been keeping track of certain bottles. Those are all of the spice bottles that are empty. I put those to the side so that we can recycle those when we are done. However, any of the bottles that still had some seasoning left in them, I put to the other side on the left. So that way I remembered to keep a hold of those because I could use them to refill my cabinet. This Creole seasoning is one I've been using a ton on shrimp. I love it. It's absolutely delicious. Now that we're done, I'm just going to grab my little recycling bag and I'm putting all of these empty jars and bottles into the bag, and it's amazing to think about how much space a lot of those took up. Some of them were really, really big, and it was definitely a space saver to have them in these thinner more aesthetically pleasing bottles. I'm just going to take a second now to put them in alphabetical order, and then we're going to start working on the actual cabinet. Before we can start putting things back in, I'm just going to take a minute here to take everything out. As you can see, like I said, we've got a ton of seasonings. I definitely have a large hot sauce collection. And I also have an entire bin of baking items. That's what's there in the black container. So I just wanted to get everything out of the cabinet first so that I could move some of these shelves around and get a more functional system in here. I did decide to enlist my husband for this job. I asked if he could move the middle shelf up just a little bit so I could put some taller items on that second shelf. So he's moving all of my salt and pepper shakers up to the top shelf, which is where I thought they were going to live. However, we do make a little bit of a shift. I love that my husband is so willing to help me with these projects. That's Danny. He's a great guy. He's so great about, helping me with any project I ask him to. So we're just moving, like I said, that middle shelf up a little bit. I think we went up 2 notches so that I could put some taller bottles in. And then he had a really good point. Why didn't we just move the salt and pepper shakers back down to that little shelf since I wanted to move the top shelf up a little bit? He said, leave it small and just move the salt and pepper shaker down, which made perfect sense. So he's moving them down for me, and I feel like this gives me a lot more space to work inside the cabinet. So I'm going to start by putting this little riser that I picked up at Walmart here on the second shelf. And this is where I'm going to put things that I use, but I don't use every day. Well, that's not true. I'm going to put the things that I don't use every day towards the back, like my large cinnamon and oregano and my extra adobo seasoning. And then I'm going to put things that I pull every single day, like my Lowry's or ranch, down on the bottom. I'm also adding in my Worcestershire sauce, my everything but the bagel seasoning, things that I use regularly but not every day. I'm putting them there on the second little riser. But like I said, the things on the first riser are things we pull for almost every single day. Moving down to the bottom shelf, I am adding in this wooden riser here that I picked up at on Amazon. And I love that it's adjustable. So I wasn't sure exactly how these were going to fit and how I was going to put them on. So I decided to start in the back and put the A's in the back and then just kind of eyeball what we were going to need. And this ended up working really great. Like I said, everything is in alphabetical order, which has made it really easy for me to know where everything is. All right, next up we're going to work on toppings and spices and sauces. So I have this little clear bin here that I am adding in some hot sauces as well as our hoagie seasoning, our fish sauce, my balsamic glaze, and I'm just trying to make everything fit. This is a lot sturdier, so I liked using this better. I also have my little wasabi tube right there. It's wasabi paste, which is absolutely delicious. And again, just trying to make it all work. I did have some leftover chili sauces from Panda Express as well that I added in there. I'm also going to add our packets of seasoning. This was already in this container from the first time that I organized this cabinet, and I am adding on another sticker. That one says seasoning. And then in this middle section here, I'm also going to put some sauces that we reach for almost every day. So my avocado oil, that type of thing. And then I did decide that I wanted to add in my bouillon base here into this container. And I also had some Korean chili paste that I wanted to figure out where I was going to fit that. So just kind of reorganizing to make everything fit and keep it nice and contained within the cabinet. Another bin that was kind of a hot mess that I wanted to work on is this one here that I keep all my baking items in. So again, I'm just labeling this clear container and I'm moving some items over here. So my, baking powder, my gelatin, the vanilla, that kind of thing, as well as my meringue powder for cookies, some other seasonings, food coloring, and candles for when we have birthdays. And now it was just about playing a little bit of Tetris. So I had this large jar of cornstarch that I wanted to put up here. I like to keep it here for when I'm cooking. So I wanted to just kind of move things around until I figured out how everything fit. I did get it all to fit, and I have had it like this now for about 2 weeks, and I am loving it. It is so easy to find everything. Everything feels contained and in order, and I really, really appreciate that. In this black bin here from the Dollar Tree, I'm going to hold on to the rest of those spices that weren't emptied, as well as my leftover cinnamon sticks from Christmas. And I'm going to put it here at the top because this requires a step stool and I don't often pull for these items. I also have a marinating dish up there, that rubber marinating dish, and I also have a cookie container there. And then I'm also adding in these paper lunch bags that we really don't pull for. And that brings us to the end of another organizing video. I hope that you guys are enjoying these videos and finding the motivation to tackle spaces in your home that have either gotten overrun or overwhelming. That's what my plan, one room, one cabinet, one drawer at a time. We're just trying to reorganize the house for the new year. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic week. Make sure to subscribe and come back for more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, my friends.